When asked about the GOT7 member who changed drastically, BamBam didn't hesitate to say Jackson's name. He explained that Jackson's image had changed a lot since he had started his solo activities, especially since his album Magic Man was released. Specifically, he recalled meeting with Jackson in Paris and noticing the changes in how he acted. He said that he had a drink in the room with Jackson and that he acted the same then. But when they were outside, he wouldn't laugh or joke and keep his stoic image. While the fans don't know Jackson personally, they could all agree that Jackson had changed. They just couldn't tell if it was for the better or if they needed to be worried. After the GOT7 members didn't renew their contracts with JYP Entertainment, they all went to do their own things. Fans expected everyone to approach their solo careers a different way since, after all, they weren't restricted by the agency anymore and could do what they wanted. However, one of the members that seemed to have changed the most was Jackson, and fans were getting concerned about him at one point, especially after his 2022 interview with Eric Nam. In November of 2022, he appeared on Dive Studios' podcast Daebak Show with Eric Nam so he could promote his album Magic Man, and he got really honest about his struggles with mental health. Eric had asked him what was the reason that his mental health reached an all-time low, and Jackson went on to explain that he was lost as he felt like everything was a loop: words, the people he met, and what they would say to him. Elaborating on this, Jackson expressed his dilemma. He acknowledged the situation created by this cycle, questioning whether he should prioritize personal gain or stay true to himself for once. He also recognized his imperfections, which have made him feel compelled to be honest with his audience so he could be sure that those who support him truly know the real Jackson Wang. However, this took a serious toll on him. He didn't want to talk to anyone or hang out with anyone, even going as far as to isolate himself from his team, and started drinking alone frequently. During these moments, he came to the realization that not everyone around him shared the same artistic vision. Most of the people around him were more focused on turning what he did into a marketable product. This devastated him, so he cut ties with everyone and started creating Magic Man all alone. This led Eric to ask Jackson about what brought him out of his slump, so he mentioned that reconnecting with his producer and stylist played a significant role, as the conversations they had together made him feel like their words held meaning once again. The most important realization he came to, though, was that it was okay for him to talk about not being okay. He said, "I might be gone tomorrow, you never know, but at least every single day I want to live like me, be honest to myself, be honest to the audience, making sure that, hey, this is the real me." Another thing he talked about were his struggles of promoting his music in Korea. He expressed that since his biggest feat was fading into obscurity as an artist, the last few years have been really rough because he couldn't release any solo music in South Korea. Since his career as an artist began there, it's been hard for him not to show appreciation to the fans who kickstarted his career. Eric appeared understanding, since a large chunk of Jackson's popularity as a GOT7 member came from his variety show appearances, so not being able to promote anymore and connect with his Korean fans must have been awful. It's true that people would lose interest since he was focused on promoting internationally and hasn't been promoting on music shows or doing any variety. However, there's so much that he wants to share with his Korean audience, so to him it felt frustrating that he missed out on opportunities by being absent as a solo artist from the Korean music scene. Additionally, he shared a devastating piece of information about himself that made his fans all around the world feel for him. Towards the end of the podcast, Eric shared some concerns that fans had sent in for the two to discuss and give advice on. One fan said that they felt happy whenever they were around their friends, but when they were alone, they felt lonely and depressed. Jackson expressed just how much he related to the fan and started talking about how lonely he felt sometimes. He shared that every time he returned home, he would keep one light on even if he was away for months. This made him feel like someone was waiting for him whenever he would go back home. It also helped him cope with the challenges of people constantly relying on him for work and the fact that he had to take care of his parents. The light turned a symbol of dependability and comfort for him when he returned home. It's rare for idols to get so candid about their personal struggles, and while fans appreciated the fact that he was being so open and honest with them, they also started to feel worried. Judging by what Jackson was saying, it still felt like he was feeling lonely and lost. This is why, during his tour, fans and the public grew more and more concerned. When he went on his solo tour, Magic Man World Tour, everything seemed fine. Jackson was an outstanding performer after all, interacting with fans and making sure that everyone was having the best time of their lives. However, no matter what, Jackson still showed that he's human by getting emotional during his performance of Blue. As mentioned before, the Magic Man album held a deep personal meaning for him as it was created during a tough period in his life. However, the song Blue holds a special place in his heart as it's about finding solace in chaos, a theme he strongly relates to. This must have been why he broke down crying while performing the song on day 3 in Bangkok. With tears in his eyes, he explained that he has been dreaming of being able to perform and release music without any restraints. He said that everything that he's done so far, including his performances, his music, and everything else had been filtered, tagged, labeled. He went on to say, "I don't want to be labeled, I don't want to have tags, I don't want to have any filter." He took the filter thing way too seriously though, if we were to judge by some of the things he said and did during the tour. When Jackson performed in London, he gave a long speech that left the public divided. His speech went on for nearly 8 minutes, but since people on the internet tend to post shorter clips, only some parts of the speech went viral. This led several of Jackson's fans to say that he was facing criticism because they were taken out of context, with the intention to misinterpret what he meant. After introducing himself as Jackson Wang from China, he went on to talk about how the media tends to portray China in a negative light through propaganda and guaranteed everyone that if they were to visit the country, they would think otherwise. Jackson also expressed his dislike for celebrities getting too much praise and encouraged his fans to value every job and discover happiness in their own unique paths. Throughout most of his speech, Jackson talked about the concept of finding your own standard, but what got the most attention from everyone was the beginning of his speech, the part where he talked about China. A big chunk of netizens thought he was talking about the reports of innocent Uyghur Muslims being held in concentration camps in China and considering it just Western propaganda against China instead of something factual. Others thought that he was referencing the headlines that came out on the day of his concert, which were talking about the COVID-19 pandemic and how people shouldn't visit China because of it. According to the fans, Jackson was merely defending his country and expressing how proud he was of his homeland, which was nothing wrong according to them, but that wasn't the only thing people were concerned about. Jackson is one of the idols that hasn't shied away from how much he loves alcohol. In a past interview, he mentioned his love for white wine and Muay Thai and shared that he inherited his dad's talent for handling a lot of drinks without getting drunk. He even mentioned that he used Muay Thai to sleep better. To prove just how much he liked the drink, a netizen had posted a video of Jackson at a Shanghai bar casually drinking Muay Thai straight from the bottle. For those who aren't familiar with the drink, Muay Thai is a Chinese liquor with at least 38% alcohol, so it's pretty strong. To see Jackson downing it like it was water was amusing, but some people found it worrying to say the least, especially during his tour. He started by bringing a bottle of champagne during his performances of Champagne Cool and taking a big swig from the bottle. Most of it would spill out and get on his clothes, but he kept doing it during the live performances of the song Poison as well. Paired with the after parties that he was organizing during the tour where drinks hadn't been missing, fans were confused about what was going on. Even when he performed at Coachella, he brought a bottle of alcohol on stage with him and got drenched in it. Some wondered if he was doing it because he felt lonely, because to them, the drinking during the concerts was unnecessary. However, others brought to light that the tour was sponsored by Hennessy, so he was promoting the brand by bringing the bottles of alcohol on stage with him. They also pointed out that he wasn't technically drinking from the bottle, but was mostly spilling it all over himself. There were also no complaints about him being drunk on stage, and as a fan pointed out, this was the happiest and most alive that Jackson has looked in a while. Considering that he confessed to having a hard time before the release of his album, having fun on stage surrounded by fans was probably just what he needed to lift up his spirits, but everyone's worries didn't end there, unfortunately. In May of last year, he went live on Instagram as he was waiting to board his flight to New York. At the very beginning of the live stream, he expressed that he was hungry but couldn't eat anything so he could stay in shape. In fact, he shared that he was eating just one meal a day. The fact that he also dozed off for a big chunk of the stream raised some alarms in everyone's head because in addition to looking very frail and thin, he also appeared exhausted. Being an idol isn't easy, but to watch Jackson sacrifice so much of his well-being has been devastating. He's shown that he's someone who will dedicate everything to achieve his vision. After the release of Magic Man, Jackson stayed in the limelight making waves with his performance at Coachella, yet once his shows for the Latin America part of the tour were over, he kind of vanished and only showed up in Thailand for his duties and at Paris Fashion Week as an ambassador for Louis Vuitton. However, even if he wasn't promoted or talked about in Korea, his shows in China were sold out, and in November, he launched a line of Team Wang design with Fila Fusion. He also got the title of the Most Influential Overseas Artist of the Year at Tencent Video All-Star Night 2023 and snagged the Record of the Year and 2 more awards at the Asian Pop Music Awards. He's dipping his toes into production as he has taken the role of a mentor on Chuang Asia Thailand, and his label, Rice Entertainment, will be debuting the winning team, so we're going to have something to look forward to. Plus, he's now part of Forbes 30 Under 30 China list, so despite all the setbacks, he's still working hard and making a difference in the industry just how he had wanted to. We really wish him all the best and cannot wait to witness more of his magic.